I have two questions in here. But before I answer these two questions, I was talking in there about suffering. And maybe I should add a little bit more about suffering before I go into these two questions. The reason is I came back from Nicaragua 2 weeks ago. The reason I went over there is to do relief work, to plan about donation, how to help, how to render our help to the poorest country in Latin America, in Central America, the second poorest. The poorest country is Haiti. The second poorest is Nicaragua. Have you heard of Nicaragua? Raise your hands if you have ever heard of Nicaragua. So the rest, you haven't even heard about it, Nicaragua. So I went with another monk to Nicaragua 2-3 weeks ago. Our intention to go over there is to see how we can help out. So talking about compassion is not just words. Talking about help and help and help, you don't walk. You have to walk the action. You have to perform the action. So we actually went over there. We took a plane from Vancouver and to Houston, and we changed from Houston to Nicaragua. And of course, we know some philanthropies over there, people who organize organizations to help all the others, Nicaragua. And surprisingly, when I was flying from Houston, of course, we changed flight from Houston to Nicaragua. And when we were lining up, going to Nicaragua in Houston, I was surprised. I looked at all the passengers of the plane. They were all Westerners. About 200 of them, maybe 300. All of them are volunteers going over to help. All these are people, not just the two monks who were in the plane. All these were people from America, people from a little bit from Canada, and they all they have helped Nicaragua, and they're all going over there to help. So all of a sudden, I felt touched because there were so many people who are actually gods. The gods is in you, you know. You are gods. They're actually gods. With the definition of God in this strict, restricted sense, people who help, people who are compassionate, people who are helping out, I call them gods. So many gods. So they are gods. So they were teenagers over there. They were seniors, like 80-year-olds, 70-year-olds. Every one of them, they were volunteers going there to help. And I talked to a few sentences to one of them, and they were constantly traveling like that to poor countries to help. And then sometimes they just return back to the States for recharging their energy. Because in those underdeveloped countries, you don't have proper food, you don't have all this. They have to go back to New York, to Houston, to, I don't know, California, to recharge themselves with energy. And then they, after, getting rest for a little while, they go back again to help. So those are bodhisattvas. Those are gods. Don't look for any gods. They're everywhere. The 200-300 of them. And then we went to Nicaragua, and we actually went to Managua, where they have the dumpsters. Did I talk about this before? I don't need to talk about it anymore. Did I talk about this before? No? Okay, no? Oh, I thought I talked about them already. So we went to so many places. In Managua, it's the capital of Nicaragua. Nicaragua have 5.3 million people. 4 million people live under the poverty line. And I think the poverty line is $150 US dollars per month. They are under $150 per month. The relief we got here for social welfare is $800, approximately $1,200, well above that line. But they have $150 per month under the poverty. 4 million of them. So we went to Managua, and I was very interested in going to the dumpsters. You know what a dumpster is? Where Nicaragua dump all their garbage into one place, and they call it the dumpsters. The reason why I went over there, because I was touched by a story before. There was a photographer, an American photographer, who went over to Nicaragua to shoot beautiful Nicaragua landscape. You know, in the countryside, it's beautiful. Underdeveloped country, some underdeveloped countries are so beautiful because they're not industrialized. So the photographer, I heard the story, went over to Nicaragua from Managua, and he took a picture of some kids picking garbage in the dumpsters. There were a lot of kids in the picking garbage from the dumpsters. You know what they pick? Cans, Coca-Cola cans, and all kinds of things. Every day they spend, they're not going to school. Teenager, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, they were all in the dumpsters, picking garbage. Very dangerous, they have backhoe, driving around, and they pick things. And sometimes if something was thrown away from a hotel, it could be a lobster over there, and they just eat the lobster, the leftover lobster. Sometimes you got lobsters and crabs, and sometimes you got poisoned. And they got food poisoned because of that. And there was a girl in there, a photographer took a picture of that girl, and later he developed the photograph, and it was so beautiful, with good smile. That girl, a 9-year-old girl, all the face is all dirty from the dirt, from the dumpsters, dirt, picking garbage, and yet the smile was so shiny, like the sunshine. The smile so shiny and so beautiful. And he posted that picture at home, and everybody liked that picture. He became very famous with that picture. So 2 years later, he went back. He wanted to do the same thing again, take pictures in Nicaragua. He wanted to look for that beautiful smile girl. And unfortunately, that girl died already. And he wanted to find a story of why that girl died. That girl died because every day the girl make $1 US dollar per day, make $1, exchange trash for $1, right? And then, of course, in those places there were gangsters, and some of the gangsters said, "Well, $1 for you to exchange the trash, I give you 5, and you give me your body." So they exchanged $5 for sex. And she did because she was so ignorant, because life was so difficult. So he had many occasions like that, and he contracted HIV, and he died. So this story was so common in the dumpsters. You're thinking about the food that you're eating, we're being spoiled. You think, oh, this is not good food, that is not good food. They pick food from the dumpsters. So I went over to the dumpsters, and now the dumpsters situation improved a lot, because there was the Fabretto Institute where they actually set up some schools near the dumpsters, and they talked to those teenagers and people picking up dumpsters and put them to school. Sewing school, bakery school, computer school. That's the Fabretto Institute. So actually, I contacted the Fabretto Institute. I actually visited the 7 centers of the Fabretto Institute. There was an Italian father, and his name was Fabretto. And he spent 50 years in Nicaragua just to save just poor children. He died about 20 years ago, and it was taken over by an American guy, and there was an American man, a philanthropist, and his name is Kevin. Very conscientious guy, very active and work. I was traveling with him. I traveled his center, meet all these boys and girls who were in his school, and he had 20,000 boys and girls that he saved, that he put in schools and gave them. They have their own lunch. They cook lunch for them and all that. Great work, so they have done. And why did I talk about? That's it. I don't have enough time to talk about all this. Yeah. Can you help with this? Of course. There's so much you can. Of course. You know, the way I look at doing good work is you want to actively find out how you can do it. You don't wait for some people to talk to you. I'm here, I'm all ready. Anybody who wants me to do voluntary work in donation, you come to me. No, you go to them. When I do charity work, I go to them. I travel to them. I offer myself. I don't just wait for them to invite me. No. I walk to the dumpsters. I talk to the girl. I talk to the boys and girls. So I spent, how many days I spent in Nicaragua? 8 days? 5 days in Nicaragua, 5 days. And very meaningful. So if you're thinking about life is meaningless, why don't you add more meaning to your life? Man in search of meaning. Meaning, you must in search for it. Don't wait for the meaning to come up. You build up your meaning. You write your script in life, not waiting for somebody else to write your script. Okay? So I had a lot of experiences of that trip, like going over to Nicaragua. Sometimes I think, well, it was a tough trip, and I like it. I met those boys and girls, and I know that I can offer more, although because of limitation of time, I can't offer as much as I want, but don't just sit in there. I mean, if you have nothing else to do, you feel that life is boring, life is meaningless, add meaning to it, adding compassion to it. Go there. Try to do something about it. Not just talking about the Buddhist teaching, I'm kind, I'm compassionate, and you're waiting something to show up. All right, that's it for today for the story. I got a lot more to tell you, but let's break it up into series. Otherwise, it'll be all gone by next week. All right, 2 questions. Let me answer these 2 questions. Could you share with us what your typical day consists of from the time you get up in the morning to the time when you go to bed at night? Well, life in the monastery starts at 4:30. You got to get up at 4:30 in the morning. And then 5 o'clock, you go to do your morning lesson, the morning prayers. From 5 to 6 is your morning prayer with all of us. And then 6:30 is your breakfast. Stop the morning prayer, then you go back to do a little bit of your own, household work. And 6:30, you're going to come here for breakfast. And 7 o'clock, the breakfast is finished, and then you have to do your own work. You may be studying some sutras, and also there are timetables. We've got timetables over them that we're not in English, but in Chinese, how we split the work. Some cleaning work to do in your own room, or in the breakfast, who prepare for the breakfast? Somebody has to prepare for the breakfast and serve and all that. Everything is all lined up for you. And there's, of course, in between, there's freedom for you to pick your choice in what you want to learn. Maybe there's a certain sutra that you want to study. And if you are a newcomer, you have to know what to chant in your morning prayers. It will take you months to learn how to memorize the morning prayers, how to memorize the evening prayers. Evening prayers is 6:30. And after evening prayers, then you do your own work. And also, we have group praying, group meditation too. We do a lot of study, we do a lot of meditation, we have to do a lot of work too. So if we're talking about what is a typical day, it's a very busy day. I've been like that. I've been like that for 16 years. I didn't have one day off. I work 7 days per week. A monk has no day off. I work 7 days per week. And say when I'm teaching, I have to write PowerPoints myself. I don't have a secretary who write it for me. I have to draft my own PowerPoint. I have to proofread it. I have to edit it. I have to make sure that it's on computer. I have to research the right material. A very busy life. Plus, not only English, I have to do the Chinese part too. The Chinese PowerPoint. And then I still have to read up on what I don't understand. Learning is a lifetime process. Not just becoming a monk and you stop learning, you already learn everything. A monk starts his religious journey. He only starts it. He has a lot to do, he has a lot to go. However, you put all your time in it, all your efforts in it. Plus, we also have to allocate some time to do charity. And every year I went to northern Thailand to do charity. Northern Thailand, have you ever heard of northern Thailand? Mae Salong. Every year I went to Mae Salong to the mountain tribes, mountainous tribes in the mountains, to help out the mountainous people. In Thailand, the poorest part of Thailand is Mae Salong, in the mountain. You know, northern Thailand is a mountainous area. It is what we call the Golden Triangle. Have you heard of the opium trade? The Golden Triangle? Laos, Myanmar, used to be Burma, and Thailand. There's a golden triangle in which a lot of drug trafficking in there used to be, gangsters and drug trafficking, and now no more, because in the mountains they used to be growing poppy for marijuana, for this kind of thing. Now they changed it to tea plantation and coffee plantation. But they're still very poor. So every year I went over to Mae Salong to distribute provisions to them. And I'm also supplying assistance to a primary school of about 250 students. We have 250 students we are supporting in a school. They travel for 2 hours to go to school. They don't have any shoes to wear. So we did that kind of thing in northern Thailand. And every year I went to China to release sea animals. I released turtles, I released, creatures back to the sea. Fish, even sharks, and variety of fish, millions of fish. And I released also birds, caught birds, land turtles, and many, many birds, thousands of birds. Released animals back to nature. I did that every year. So there's so much work to do. And it was so meaningful, particularly the release of sea animals. You know how I release sea animals? We released as a group. We went over there in a group of 30 to 40 people. I was en route from Hong Kong to China, and I stayed in Hong Kong for a while, gathered all the groups, and we went over to China, or sometimes in Hong Kong, the different provinces of China. And in every release, 3:30 in the morning, we woke up 3:30 in the morning. We went to the fishing market, the wholesale market, and bit those fish, struggling with the fishermen. In other words, they have all tanks in there they just caught from the sea, and they put in those big tanks and they start bidding, auction. Sharks, $25 a pound. Anybody go for 26, 27, 30? We bid for those snakes, sea snakes, variety of fish. So I was using my calculator, I was struggling with them how to get the lowest bid for as much as possible. It was fun, actually. It was fun fighting with the fishermen, how to save the fish. And I had a lot more to tell you, but I'm answering this question. So you asked me what is a typical day. It's a very busy typical day. And why do you ask me this question? Do you want to become a monk? Or you want to become a nun? So I don't know why you asked this question, but to tell you we're very busy. We have a lot more to learn. Living in a monastery is a lifelong learning process. Never stop learning, never stop giving. You see, why we are busy? Because we are learning and giving at the same time. It's a very meaningful life, because you're not talking just about yourself. You're talking about how to render help to others, how to make life more interesting, never boring. We don't have a boring life. We won't sit down and say, oh, I have nothing else to do. No, too much to do. We can't finish them all. We can only categorize them, prioritize them. All right, last question. When cultivating Diamond Sutra, which realm would you end up in consciousness? Which realm do you end up in consciousness? When you are cultivating, when you are learning Diamond Sutra, if you really learn it, there's no realm to be cultivated. There's no consciousness to be understood. Nothing. Sunyata. There's nothing to get. Because there's nothing to obtain. Because it's emptiness. It's sunyata. Why are you still looking for something? If you start to look for something, you are not at it. You start to let go. Why do you still want to look for? I want to reach that realm. There's no realm to be reached. Get rid of that realm that you want to reach. The next question, how do we contemplate emptiness? You need a lot of discussions in it. How do we contemplate emptiness? But we can talk about it next Saturday when we talk about consciousness. If you start looking for something, that's not right. You don't have to look for it, it's there. You just have to see it, realize it. You don't have to look for it. It's already there. You just don't know about it. You let it go by unnoticed. If you start to notice it, the wisdom comes. When is the time when you start to notice it? The time when you start to notice it is when your senses are not attaching, are not interacting to objects that you focus your attention on. That's the time when you already have forsaken your concept of greediness, hatred, anxiety, fear, depression, worry. When you start to let that go, you see it. You don't have to look. You don't need to look for it. The mirror has that reflectability already. What you've got to do is remove the dirt and dust on the surface of the mirror. Don't look for the reflectability. Just remove the dirt. Because it's there. The reflectability is there. Why do you still want to look for a mirror? You've got it. You just have to remove the pollutants.